SIMPS Season 2 is dead. There is not much we can do about it. It's dead in the water. And I know that sounds really shocking, but it's been the case for a while. I'd say around 4 to 5 months now, it has been dead. But I'm officially calling it here. This, surprisingly, is one of the more active days. Normally, there's only 3 people that realistically play Simps anymore, and it is Lexip, Madcapsign, and Foxley. And that's pretty much it. Misfortunately, it's been dead for a while. Like, pretty much since Hazel, Lily, and Botslock left Simps, it has been dead. Now, I think is officially the time that we lay it to rest. This is officially it. I'm calling it here. I was going to do so much, and I had a lot planned for Season 2, but unfortunately, with the slow decay of the server and my eventual disinterest in it, I've given up. I will no longer be making videos on Simps Season 2. That means no more lore and no nothing. I'll still probably play on the server, and the lore that was planned will still happen. That will happen in the Simps canon. I just won't make videos anymore. Meaning that all my plans for this season have been scrapped. Truly, I don't want this to have happened. I tried my best to keep myself interested in the server. Like, I even started work on the railway. Like, I genuinely started working on it with a bunch of really fancy builds and whatnot. And whilst it worked for like 2 weeks, I yet again just lost interest in it. Like, I've built some really, really nice things here if we go this way. Like, you can go through this and you can see how it's all, like, decorated. There's moles here. And if we go to this part, this bridge, I'm really proud of this bridge. It looks really beautiful. And I tried my best to keep myself interested in the server, but I failed. And I think most people who play Simps also agree that it's pretty much dead. Which is a shame to see. Because it's one of my favorite servers I've been on, and the community here are so good. And I'll still be a part of the community. I'm not leaving them. But Simps is no longer the thing it used to be. And so for the sake of everything, and for the sake of you, and for other people's lore, which I'm sure they'll still be doing, I'm going to tell the rest of Cheems' story till just before the end of Season 2. So, where we left off, I'm pretty sure it was that Cheems, the Season 2 Simps Cheems has been replaced with the Cheems which died to Soulbreaker in Season 1. The original Cheems is now the official Cheems. There's a lot of Cheems in here, and so I'm going to call them OG and Season 2. So OG has taken over from Season 2. Jacob is no longer in the picture. There is just OG Cheems, the evil person who tried to destroy Sloth's marriage. Okay? In the next episode, what was supposed to happen was a relatively simple episode. I was going to build right here, just a hall of, like, treasure, and the start of the zoo, in inverted commas, for trophies and other things to help, to just, like, start actually working on stuff. So if you don't know, the plan for this season with Cheems was there was supposed to be a bunch of mythical creatures and other animals that I was going to collect, I was going to find in the world, and I was going to basically just become a zookeeper for mythical creatures. Sadly, I realized after player gave up on Sims Pack and the duties were handed to me, I didn't know what I was doing. And so my plans for lore, I couldn't actually complete. My plans that I had where I would go out and I would have these creatures with AI and moving because they were just retextured mobs. I didn't know how to do that, and there was nothing that could help me besides player who'd given up. So that lore kind of got pushed to a side until I was like ready to actually go, okay, how can I do this? And I never came. And I don't know how to do it myself. Speaking of Sims Pack hasn't been updated since I took over. Genuinely, it's had one update. Actually, no, it's had two updates, but there's been so much stuff that's messed with Sims and other things that people don't play, so they don't want items. People aren't progressing their lore because they aren't playing, and genuinely, most people have just given up, or at least it seems like most people have given up. So, yes, Cheems then builds a little, like, kind of vaulty thing in that wall, and it goes into the mountain. And one thing it was going to do was it was going to accidentally find this secret base, but that comes a bit later on. And I will also explain that secret base in a second. Then, in this same episode that he's built this, Cheems notices, if you can tell I haven't actually recorded the footage yet, Cheems notices that the crystal that's been in the skeleton skull has been stolen, has disappeared. I showed that in one episode that it had been, like, it was not there anymore, but no one actually picked up on it, which I think is quite funny, because I did a zoom in shot of here where the crystal would have been, yet I think it was actually a bit higher. It was more like here, and it zoomed in on the eye, and there was no crystal. No one noticed it. Not a single person noticed it, but it's been like that for a while. It's supposedly in canon the crystal has been stolen since Dragon Slayer existed. This thing, since I killed the dragon. Now, that, what else? Yes, so, to find this out, what Cheems does is he looks at the security camera footage, which he finds a person. But this person looks suspiciously like either Herbert or CJ. He can't particularly tell because of the distortion of the camera. So I just imagine for a moment, you will, see blurry CCTV footage of like this. And you can understand how that kind of looks like Herbert, kind of looks like CJ. Plus with a bit of distortion, it looks a bit like Herbert or CJ. Right? Cheems then goes, that's bad, and kind of grows a vendetta against either of them. I should sleep. Then, because Cheems doesn't particularly want to, like, go out and talk with them, he decides that he needs farms and stuff to actually work. And so what he does is he builds, where is it? I think it's this one. He builds this very large, yes, it is this one, farm building. Now, I'm really proud of this build. This is my original build world. And this was the building that was going to be built. It's very nice, very pretty. It was going to be built, and he's going to explain that he built it in an episode, and he's then going to try and tour it. Now, the thing about this building, it's not your average looking building, is it's actually infested by this mythical creature. Now, this mythical creature is a specific type of termite. And what you'll notice as I walk through here, a bunch of like references and stuff. This is his sugarcane farm that he's gone. That's not how that works. And yeah, you kind of understand. And it's basically this. The building has been infested by a mythical creature of this special type of termite who infects buildings and changes it to a specific person's memories and what they remember. And so all of it is a bit messed up because they feed off of confusion. So it's like, so Cheems is walking around, you can imagine the episode, and it's like he's sort of remembering all of this stuff, but in this room there was never a giant frying pan, and eventually you get to my favorite little thing I've ever done, which sadly will never make it to Simps, and it's this large, like, sprawling... wrong entranceway. Massive, like, sprawling, kind of backrooms-esque thing. This is very much inspired by Hazel's backrooms in her base from season 1 of Simps. This staircase leads to nowhere, I forgot about that. But yeah, it's this very large, like, sprawling and kind of confusing, just area. And it's really nice, and I like it. And it would have made such a good episode, but like I say, Simps is dead and I've given up. But if I fly out of here, you can see that it is quite a large build as well. It would be very expensive to build, but I was willing to put in the hours and put in the time to do it. Plus this room here, this giant cactus farm, and it was all meant to actually just be a genuine farm. There's a water elevator here that was going to eventually lead to I was going to build like a truck station here with like storage for all this stuff, like bulk storage, but yeah, just never happened. But we'll stay on this server for a while. Just so you can like sense how the world changes. What Cheems does then, after there's then going to be a small time skip, and Cheems is going to get a bit bored. And he's going to go, well, I should probably actually do my job. And he's going to go out searching the world. And OG Cheems is going to try and find a new mythical creature. Eventually, he, in a montage where he goes through this skin, so it's barely different. He's just gained a cape. That's all it is. And then, give me a second, this skin... where he's gained boots. He's gonna stay like this for a while, and there's not gonna be much changes to his skin. But eventually, he finds this new thing called Timea Diptus, or time flies. The basic premise of them is, you know how flies, like, can because their brains work faster than ours, then they can see stuff. They fly out of the way when you try to swat them, and they don't not see it coming. Well, the concept is that they don't actually see it coming. But what happens when a time fly dies? That's a tongue twister. But what happens when a time fly dies is the whole day gets reset for it, so it knows every single thing and how to avoid it. It's basically like a Groundhog Day, but for a swarm of flies. Okay. And eventually, yeah, and there's going to be another storage room in this area yet, which I haven't made. And in this episode is when Cheems will get so far into this that he finds a secret base. Oh no! Now this secret base eventually leads, if it's actually built. I'm not sure if it is built, but I have the schematic for it. Okay, yeah, it's not built. But it leads to the village, right? And it leads into here, actually. It leads to... Ignore the fact that there's no villages. It leads to through this wall. And he goes, "Oh, what's this?" And yada yada yada. But he just ignores it and continues on. And then what happens is in another episode after this, James eventually finds another animal has appeared. Growing along the floor of here and along the base of the skeleton is a bunch of a specific type of fauna called Venea gallus. Now, you have actually seen a Venea gallus before, and I've probably mentioned the names of both Timaeodyptus and Venea gallus before in lore, because this has been planned since the beginning of the season. But what happens is they start growing on the floor. And actually, yeah, you have seen one. You've seen a Venea gallus. In my first ever episode, there is a green-looking chicken caged up beside me, and that is what one of them are. They are a plant that uses mimicry to pretend to be local wildlife to scare off other animals so it doesn't get eaten. And so it looks like chickens made out of like plants and horses and sheep and cows, and they were meant to like move about. But like I say, I can't retexture them because of the SIMPS pack stuff breaking and player like seeming to not exist or whatever. But yeah, that happens. And Cheems, throughout the episode, it's basically just a back and forth between him and the Venea gallus, of him trying to fight it, and eventually, quite hilariously, he gets beaten up by a chicken. And this is the end of that thing. And he goes, "Oh, my suit is ruined," and he searches for new clothes, which eventually he finds to be this. Now, you might have clicked on, if you know the Cheems lore, you might have clicked on what's about to happen. But sadly, if you're not, you'll see the twist coming. What happens is then we have another time skip of Cheems fighting this Venea gallus, and we go to another episode. In this episode, what happens is Cheems realizes, after some neglect, that the time flies, or the Timaeodyptus, have grown in numbers so massively, like exponentially, to a point where it's dangerous. So, what happens is Cheems calls out to Simps, the general community of Simps and the Simps public. And he gets some people. I'm not going to say who it is because their lore might their lore might still happen, and this might still be a surprise. But he gets a bunch of people, and they all put on hazmat suits. Let me just scroll down to my hazmat suit skin. And what happens after they put on the hazmat suits is they then try clearing out the Timaeodyptus, but eventually, one by one, they all get sucked away into the past. There's a zombie somewhere. They all get thrown out into the past, into random times, pretty much as wormholes. Cheems then eventually ends up stealing the crystal, whilst OG Cheems steals the crystal, whilst Season 2 Cheems is out fighting the dragon. And he then... he builds a base in the village and then he steals the crystal. He then builds a secret base in the village. Where the... Okay. I think I've gone the wrong way. I've definitely gone the wrong way. Yes, I have. He then... Cheems builds a secret base in the village where I first landed, and the reveal happens that there weren't two Cheems existing on the server. There weren't two variants of it. It was just one in the past and the future. you get it. I hope you do, at least. But sadly, none of this has come to fruition and won't. But that is where I am going to leave it, because I think eventually the ending of Simps Season 2 will happen. Whether I'm even involved in that or not is questionable. But I guess for you for you people who are more fans of the meta lore out there, what will probably happen is Season 2 Teams will be the one in horror mod. But I'm not hinting at the next season of horror mod. It could happen, you never know. Anyway, yeah. Sadly, that is where I'm gonna leave it, and that is the note I'm gonna leave you on. None of this will actually probably happen on Simps, and I will be surprised if there is a season 3 of Simps, personally. But anyway, thank you for listening to me rant for about 20 minutes about how Simps is. I'm sorry this is such a scuffed recording. It's because my editing software broke last minute. But still, thank you all for watching, and as a reminder, be good people.